Let's go.
Admitting.
Time of month.
It's not that time of month.
Well,
It's Christmas. It's near the end of the month.
yes, yes. Hello, everyone. Let's get going, shall we? It's the last one of the year. Hurrah. Whoosh, and that heat, and here we are. It is December, finally. We've had a full year of PMO-ness. Hopefully you're all well. We are here together. Can you see? Yeah, we're both together. I know final end of the year type stuff, but we had a Christmas office party yesterday. It was lovely, and I think we put a picture up. We were shuffleboarding. PMO managed to get its little face in there on that picture. Hopefully you also had time to celebrate with your teams.
Share the news though. We want to hear all about the Christmas parties in the chat.
Yes.
And of course any jumpers or hats or PMO tattoos, do share in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Be lovely to see your faces. So it is December. It is the final one of the year. If you're watching on live on LinkedIn or YouTube, hello. Hopefully you can see as well there. And if you've got any comments that you want to add on, please do that on LinkedIn too. And we will pick those up. But we just wanted to just kick off. Normally we go straight into PMO news, but it is it's a end of the year, so we thought there's a little bit of a wrap up to be done, I think, in terms of House of PMO. It's been a busy year, no doubt. It's going to be another busy year coming, but just to pause for a moment, just some of the things that we've been doing, and hopefully you've managed to see you there, and if not, you might want to get onto it and see you in 2026. We have the 10th anniversary, so 10 years of PMO conference, which has been, to be fair, when we started it, just 100 people, didn't know whether it would even have legs, and there we were 10 years on, having time to celebrate.
Got legs and tentacles and all sorts now, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the 10 years.
Yeah, and we're obviously back up to Scotland. It's the 4th time this year. Again, really great events, really great to see people there. We've also tried to do something which is, a special event in between all of those conferences. And this year we selected Blue Light PMO Summit, and there will be a report coming out in February.
Are we going to call the report like I call the event the Nino event?
No, it's not going to be called the Nino event. But there's some really great insights that we're really looking forward to sharing there. It doesn't matter whether you're not working in blue light, I'm sure you mean like NHS, fire, ambulance, all of that kind of stuff. There is some really great stuff in there that is applicable to anybody. So we look forward to choosing what we might do next year. If you've got any thoughts about that, we'd love to hear it. Get them into chat, and we'll be selecting those over the beginning of 2026 just to what we might want to pinpoint. We've also had the latest Inside PMO report, which is available to members. You can go and download that if you've not already seen it. So that was a bit of a year of resource management. I think there's going to be more resource management stuff next year.
Definitely.
I don't think it's ever going to go away. But it also means that we make space for the next Inside PMO report, which you will see on the events right now. But in January, we will be up in Glasgow. We will be doing the kind of groundwork for that new report, focused on specialist roles in the PMO. So really a lot we can go at there. I think you'll all appreciate there's lots of different specialist roles that we could go for there. But if you're interested, we've got, I think, a couple of places left, but have a look, see if you can contribute, get on board, and obviously can get up to Glasgow in January. I hope we all can, because I reckon the winds and the weather will probably arrive in January.
Absolutely.
Let's hope we can get up there to Bonnie, Scotland again. We've been running obviously a lot of events. We try to do one every week, and I think the numbers there probably this show we're doing a little bit more than just one a week.
Wow.
Both virtually and in person, and a lot of stuff. And obviously meeting the community in various different places. Again, South Coast, Dublin, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Bristol, London, Manchester, where we will be next year. Kind of
Down to
up
you.
to, yeah, absolutely. And nobody puts PMO in a corner. I like
I
that
know.
little
Do you know?
badge.
I saw that. I'm thinking I've not seen that badge. We haven't created those yet, but I think we need to. I think we need to. I think we always enjoy putting the stickers together for the conference, but merch is definitely one of those things that whatever event we go to, people always ask for it. So any suggestions, do let us know. We'll do our damnedest to kind of make it happen.
Yeah, no, lovely. And then of course from all the events that we're doing, is ploughing back into the into the members library. We're creating resources. There's a lot of membership only type events, obviously publishing the articles, guides, insights. We put out white papers as well this year, and a lot more of that to come. So, me
Doesn't
just
stop.
whistle stop through it. But what about you? What have you got that's, reasons to celebrate yourself in terms of what you've been up to? Seeing some lovely pictures up in the chat. So it's great that you're out there having some parties. But have you got anything, from your PMO perspective, but reasons to celebrate in 2025? We'd love to know. And I think this is also a reflection on how we tend to be as PMO people, but we don't tend to be introspective for a little while to understand about what it is that might be worth celebrating. But I'd love to know, we would love to know, if you do have anything that's worthy of a celebration this year. What is it that your PMO has achieved? And also kind of a reminder, remember that, we move into 2026, it will be International PMO Day again in May. Maybe that is a time when you can actually start to bring out some celebrations, because, again, you've got nearly 5 months there as a notice period.
There we go, the mug.
Yeah,
Thank you,
there you
Ellen.
go,
Yeah.
International PMO Day. So yeah, it's have a think about it. I'm not forthcoming. You're all being shy in the chat right now.
We're going to give them an opportunity
Yeah.
to kind of say a few things shortly, aren't we, in terms of
Yeah.
setting up a number of just a few little kind of questions for you to answer.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a quick one. So thank you very much for 2025, all being part of it. Hopefully we will see you again in 2026 and getting involved in some of the other things we've got planned. We've got lots of stuff on the horizon and some surprises. So hopefully you'll join us then. Okay, so let's move on. We have got the resident news section where, again, each month we've been putting together insights that we think that you as PMO people would like to know about, keep informed about, and here he is. Here's John. I really like that little action voice. Yeah, sorry, we were chatting amongst ourselves. We don't often get to do it in the same room, but hi John, how are you? You all set?
Hey, how are we doing? I'm good. I'm all Christmassy. I've got my Christmas jumper. Hang on, there we go. Look at that. Christmas chaos coordinator there. All good.
Excellent.
Right, let's dive in. I thought about doing a news roundup of the year, but then I thought, well, you've kind of, the regulars will get bored because you've heard all of that before. And there's been some interesting things in December, so I thought I'd just focus on things from December again for you. First one up is UK government. This is their new programme and project data standard. So this was published on the last week, I think. Available to download, so help yourselves. I'll share a link in chat as usual for all of these things in a moment. It's a trial. It's out there for a year. They'll be taking feedback on it from government departments, but it's useful for anyone in the PMO space who is looking at thinking about how they capture data, capturing it in a standard way. Especially useful if you're putting in a new PPN system and things like that, where you sort of sign up and then the first thing your analyst or consultant says to you is, right, so what fields would you like? And you go absolutely blank at that moment. This kind of gives you those standard. The aims of it are there: improving data quality and interoperability, better insights, decision making, supporting assurance and risk management. I would not recommend you reading it for fun, as with so many of these things. There is a big list of tables inside it, but what it is good for 2024 is showing you the fields that they would expect around risks, around issues, around people on your projects, around projects themselves. And for each of those categories, it lists out what it expects to see, what the standards are, what metadata they would like to have against each one of those. So that is what is expected if you're going to be working on projects within government in the future, but also very, very useful for you outside of that if you're, as I said, setting up your own systems or setting up a PPM tool. I think if you click on Lindsay, there's just a screen grab of sort of one of the pages in there to get a sense of it, sort of defining. This one was for risk, defining the attributes, definitions, what it should look like, and examples of data there. The examples of data bit amused me because there is a challenge there for anyone working on government projects in the next year where they've spun up a project and put some of these systems in place, is to have a look for how many things are assigned to Ben Salisbury, because that seems to be the example name they have used throughout. So it'll be interesting to see whether Ben makes it onto people's project dashboards in the future. If anyone does see that this year, do let me know, because I will be very, very amused if that is the case.
Is everybody going to do a quick search now on LinkedIn to see who Ben Salisbury is?
And why he's the owner of everything. Okay, let's move on from UK government to PMI. So this is an interesting day to put a report out. I had to read this a few times to work out whether because there was a press release. I looked at that. I thought, oh, this looks like it's heavily just pushing their sort of agenda of pushing this acronym more out. And what more is about, it's basically sort of saying they put out in 2024 they put a report out that was about maximizing success, and the idea there was their definition of project success was very, very simple. Successful projects deliver value that is worth the effort and expense that's put in, which feels a bit, well, yeah, but I know sometimes the simple ones are the best, I guess. But what they wrapped around that was introducing this this concept called more, where people delivering value need to be ensuring that as a profession, this is what we're doing. So we're managing perceptions, we're taking ownership of success, relentlessly reassessing where we're at with delivery, and expanding perspective outside of, particularly for project people, not just looking at the project with blinkers on, but looking wider than that as well. Now, however, marketing and promotion and acronyms aside, this is a report that has got data from interviews with over 5,000 people responded. Then they've done a number of interviews with individual people as well. So it's well researched, and therefore I thought it was sort of worth diving into. Firstly, they've got evidence in there of correlation between project managers that say they are using each of these the standards for managing perceptions, taking ownership of success. And the more of those that are being used by project managers, it correlated with project success. And you can see there, the more of those are being, the more that are being used, the higher the success rate of projects was. Just diving on to the next one for us, Lindsay. Now they used a beautifully simple metric, the net project success score, which, as you can see, there is the number of successful projects, percentage of successful, subtracting the percentage of failed, but clearly not the met in the middle. But as you can see there, they did a survey last year and this year. They've seen that we're broadly the same as last year, slightly up on that score there globally, but generally staying fairly sort of static. But what they've then taken is those measurements of success from the surveys that they've done, and they've then looked at what the things are that define success and align quite strongly with success. So as well as the more things, a clear vision for what the project is aiming to do. So the knowing your why was the biggest, strongest predictor of whether a project is successful or whether it was a failure. If there's clear vision, there's a massive gap between the number of failed projects and number of successful projects, where the project managers had a clear vision at the start. The next biggest one was actually measuring progress continuously throughout. And the next one was actually prioritizing value. So whenever any decisions were made, decisions were always based around which option here gives us the most value longer term, as opposed to did we purely focus on cost or timings, those kind of things. So those are the big three that correlated heavily with successful projects: clear vision, measuring progress, and prioritizing value. And then on to the last slide, this was another little gem that came out of this here, which is, I thought this was quite useful for project managers, because what they were asking here was what the barriers are to embracing this sort of more mindset. And even if you're not sort of a PMI organization, I think these are probably things that could be applied more generically to what things are. Do project managers feel blocking them from being successful thought leaders, transformational leaders of the future? And you can see there, I'm not going to go through every one of them there, but lacking psychological safety at the lower end there, mastering the fundamentals, no incentive to do so, and lacking bandwidth sort of at the lower end there. It was interesting that lacking AI tools was sort of sneaking in. I've not seen that coming out as a thing that project managers see as holding them back before, which just goes to show how fast this year has gone and how much AI has come to the forefront this year as well. Lacking leadership support, access to stakeholders, meaningful values of and lacking meaningful measures of value. So a few things there that might be interesting for PMO people to reflect on, how you are enabling your project managers' capability and development through making these things available, enough time to develop themselves, well-established standards and ways of working, feedback loops, and working on that psychological safety and incentive to actually do better as well and drive. Would be quite an interesting one. So just to reflect on there. Next one I've got for you. Been diving into the journals again this month, and I just pulled out this one as an interesting one. I can't remember what I forgot, and this is a sort of investigation in one organization that had to do a major project. It was the first new one they'd done in 10 years, so it was looking at some of the insights and learning they could derive from that. And two things I've pulled out of that I just wanted to share that again I think would be useful for all of you. First one was something called the learning paradox, which does come from an earlier paper from 2011, but I'd not seen it before, so I've included it in here. I quite like it that projects are reputed to be simultaneously an arena particularly suited to learning, but also structurally ill-suited to the sedimentation and retention of knowledge. So yeah, people are learning and discovering on projects because we're doing something novel and delivering a unique outcome in a lot of cases. So we're learning a lot as we go, but they're simultaneously not well suited at all to actually keeping and retaining that data. And we've heard this a lot over the years with NASA realizing how much knowledge they've lost from these sort of Apollo missions and all those kind of things. And I'm sure we've got it on a smaller scale in our organizations as well. But they had this nice sort of sense-making framework or diagnostic in the report that I thought might be a good one to share with you. Because what we often see with projects in organizations is there's quite a common problem is assuming that we remember more than we actually do organizationally, where we've done something before and we're doing it again, and those projects run into problems. So the idea is what we're the sort of place we're thinking about here is sort of where there's ambiguity, where there's a project that we feel we should be able to do because we've done that kind of thing before. None of the explanations we're getting out of the team really quite make sense of what's actually going on and why it's struggling and why it's failing. And what they're saying here is, like, before you try and fix the delivery, fix the understanding of whether the organization still knows how to deliver this or not. So there's a few things there to just check on. Is there a common agreement on what good looks like? Novelty, how aligned are we on how similar this project really is to the ones of the past? Because it may well be we're assuming knowledge from something in the past that doesn't actually line up to what we're doing now. Has time been built in for learning and relearning, or are we just making the assumption everyone knows everything and therefore we're just snowballing ahead? Multiplicity, are we wrongly looking for a single root cause? So where we're sort of linking something to things we've learned in the past, is the thing we learned in the past the only reason for the problems this project is having, or actually are there new things that have come in, new challenges that we haven't thought through? And lastly, complexity, our interdependencies masking kind of cause and effect relationships as well. So there's a few quite interesting ones there that I thought could work very nicely for PMO people trying to unpick what's wrong with some of these projects from an assurance standpoint. And these could also be good ones to ask in a kind of a sort of retrospective or workshop session when trying to uncover some of the problems that these kind of projects are having. So I thought those two might be useful ones for you to articulate and helpful for you in your organizations when trying to make sense of what's happening with some of these projects where we feel we should know how to do it, and yet mysteriously we're struggling. And the very, very last one from me is just a warning for you all. This one comes from some research that was published in the Times. No surprises for those of you who've been around the workplace for a long time, but noting that 25% of UK workers have regretted their actions at work Christmas parties. 20% of those were, no surprise, were alcohol related. There are 40 issues that end up in tribunals every year directly relating to festive workplace celebrations, and noting that Christmas parties are not only social gatherings, they're deemed an extension of the workplace. So employers' legal responsibilities don't clock off. So just bear that one in mind. So warn your teams, have fun, but also be safe out there as well. That's it from me. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone.
Excellent. Thank you very much, John. Eileen is just bearing her soul there. Yeah, we ended up in a wooden shed with karaoke.
And I can't sing.
But I did. None of us could sing.
I don't think I sang. I think I made a lot of noise.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. Let's just move on then to something new. As you probably do something on the website, just a little poll every month. I don't know how many of them you catch, but I thought we'd just round up with just a few of them, just in case you've just missed them. But they look like this. We do different subjects and things. I'd really, again, if you'd like to know what other PMO people are thinking about a particular subject, now's your chance to drop it into chat for what question would you like. So so this was early on in the year. We're curious to know about how people were engaging with artificial intelligence, about what they're doing currently. Now, this was early in 2025, so this is going to be really interesting, I think, to run this one again, probably early 2026, and see whether it has changed or not. And my latest AI tool that I can't stop using, I love it. Look at this. This is the results from the poll. This is from Google Notebook. They've got a new bit. We've been going on about Google Notebook all year. If you've not had a chance to have a look at it yet, please do. They've added two new bits into it, which is to make an instant infographic, which is what you're seeing on screen right now, but also to do a slide deck. And I'm really, really impressed. I mean, look at this. This is the results.
There was me thinking you'd done lots of hard work and actually done it.
Of course not. I've even left in a little the reference there in the corner, so you can see what it's being used. I mean, you know, that's just literally uploading that image of the bar chart and then getting it to do that. So in other words, convert it and do that. Amazing, isn't it? But just looking at the results there, I think there's certainly from talking to people throughout 2026 and some of the sessions we've done at conferences and so on, I think people are moving on a little bit. It'll be interesting next year to see whether any of them are doing any kind of strategizing. We did put there a question about company-wide. I don't imagine that the PMO would be taking responsibility for that, but I wanted to keep it in there in case people were. But yeah, you can see the results there. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting going into 2020.
It's going to be definitely interesting to see how kind of IT parts of the organisation have to embrace it.
Yes.
And, you know, kind of what the legal frameworks that are going to be sitting around that.
Yeah. So lots of people exploring it this year. So will they be doing more analysis type stuff? We'll see as we go forward. We also asked about portfolio management because we've done a white paper. If you're not familiar with that already, if you go into a library, look for portfolio management, you'll see that really interesting white paper, which made us want to do this question because we just wanted again to ask people what their thoughts were about this, about the biggest challenge So very specifically for people that are working in portfolio-led PMOs, and results for that one.
Look at that picture.
Look at that, isn't it beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? So yeah, I think we weren't really surprised with some of the stuff around resources. It's come up actually. I don't know if you'll be aware of this, but Eileen, but it got touched on at a conference in London. It got touched on again in Edinburgh. People doing different presentations, giving their different viewpoints. We've been able to kind of pinpoint, so we do a white paper, somebody does a session at conference, it's joining dots, which is what AI has actually been really great for the House of PMOs to do a lot more of that dot joining, which, we've got so much stuff. So this is, again, aligned with Inside PMO report as well, which is obviously around resource management. But yeah, it's a lovely representation.
We also talked about, didn't we, as well, in terms of very often in our PMOs of business function, that because we often are not involved in the creation of the portfolio, we end up with a portfolio of projects that actually the organisation is not in a position to deliver because there's not been enough structure put together in that building the portfolio.
Yeah, there's been some really great stuff coming out of the conference sessions. So this one's felt a bit more personal in terms of what if an organisation could make one thing better for you, what would it be? You can see there really like neck and neck between training and also recognition and trust from leadership. So that gave us this nice picture in terms of the what people were looking for. And again, this has been borne out again. It came up quite strongly in the Blue Light PMO Summit about the whole recognition from leadership, the trust, being able to, it's almost like people know what needs to happen, but being able to have that backing to make it happen is where things are. So, people within the PMOs we want to be doing some good stuff, but are being held back by the way that PMOs are still being perceived within the organisation. So I think this year, Lord, looking into 2026, I think is going to be interesting in terms of some of the trends that we've identified as well. But again, another nice
session to look forward to in the new year.
Indeed. And then we asked, this is the final one that we're running right now, it'll run out in December, what your PMO is planning to improve in 2026. Really interested in this.
Big spread.
Well, tools and tech's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I weren't expecting it to be number one priority.
Well, it probably means AI, is it?
Yeah, maybe.
That's where they put that.
We've only got top level, but hopefully, it gives you a bit of an idea as to what people are doing. Because I kind of thought that ways of working would fall under the kind of AI bit, in that it's going to change the way that you might approach some of the work that you do.
Get that resource management in there again.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, some of the polls that we've been doing, always good to have a snapshot. If there's a question that you'd like to see us put to the wider PMO community, please do let us know. Because like I say, we run them once a month. Polling's over 100 people, so not quite up there with the PMI numbers of 5,000, but
this year, next year,
not insignificant. Not insignificant. So just thinking about polling then.
Yes, well, we just thought it would be quite good if you've not had a chance to take part in those polls. We thought we'd want to just do a couple today, but I did want to just kind of contextualize some of these and thinking about kind of why we do the polls and why they're useful, and it's good for us, and we will be having our first week in January where we sit together and work on what we're doing and what we're planning to do for the next year. And we always go back to kind of why we set ourselves up. And Lindsay often says, this is what we would have wanted when we were doing our job and we started off. But if you ever go back to our mission in terms of what we're trying to do, we're trying to create that home for PMO professionals where we support the development of people, but actually we also want to give the opportunity. It's not just about, you know, kind of what Lindsay and I know, although we we just collect lots of other things and make it available. So we're essentially curators rather than kind of the generators of a lot of this information. And so it is about recognizing that, actually, as Lindsay mentioned earlier on, sharing your stories is inspirational to other people who are working in PMOs. And you know, sometimes you kind of think, well, actually, we try and kind of raise that flag in our own organisations, and sometimes it doesn't always land. Doing it into the House PMO community always lands, because there's always somebody there who kind of thinks, do you know, I've had a similar struggle, or I'm really see that somebody's actually achieved something that I've been trying to do, and taken something for that. So when we go through these kind of I've got 6 questions, 3 for this year, 3 for next, just to kind of remember that actually you're there to inspire and help the other members of the community as well. So again, if anybody's got anything kind of really interesting, feel free to kind of come off mute and kind of share it in a little bit more detail. So I'm just going to try and not wreck the place now by trying to launch these polls. So hopefully what you'll see is a question there, right? And I just need some people to nod to see they can see the question.
See a question.
Yes, we can see the question. So we're just looking for one word that describes how you felt about 2025, about you and your PMO. Yeah, and always interesting in terms of the graphics. Yes, mine are very simple, straightforward pictures to do that.
Okay.
Simple's okay. So yes, so we've got a couple of people have answered for that. And I don't know whether we can see the answers until we get to the end.
No,
but probably not. But we'll
what are you doing with this newfangled bit where it's all grouped them together? This is very posh.
Well, it just says you have it's the whole thing. We'll have a look. We'll do that questions, and then we'll have a look. Hopefully we'll be able to see the answers. Right then. So the second question is what PMO service or activity created the most value for your organization this year? So I've given you a few more words where you can answer that. So we have a constant conversation around value and what does value mean for all of this. So that's always interesting in terms of kind of I'm quite interested in terms of kind of how you've measured the value, but we'll not kind of do on that at the moment. So is that second question available?
When you see big value?
Can't see the survey, right? So let's have a look. Oh well, I wonder if we can share the results from question 1. Can you see the results from question 1, or has it gone on to question 2?
We can see results to question 1.
Excellent. Right then, I think I can now. There we go.
Question 2 didn't come up.
Expansion, reactive learning, productive, non-existent, and discombobulating. Oh, we do love the word discombobulating. Excellent. So hopefully, Stuart, you'll have something next year in that. Right then. So let's see. We can go. Does the next question up yet? No, the next question. Right then. Here we go. Why hasn't the next question not come up?
This is ended.
Go.
Oh no.
Relaunch the poll. Continue. That was the first one. Ignore the first one. Struggling as to how to get the second one.
You see, you've been trying to be clever doing it in a thing.
Sure, it worked brilliant in rehearsals, right, Eileen?
It absolutely did, yes. So I've got them all, but
I think we just need to scroll down.
Scroll down.
Right.
Yeah.
If you scroll down, thank you very much for the voice who said that. If you scroll down, you get to answer the other ones. There's 6 questions for you to answer. I hadn't realised. Well, that's a live and learn, isn't it? So yes, we need to kind of individual polls next time. My lesson is to kind of do them as individual questions next time. I thought I would do them good, group them all together because they're all for today. Because Zoom's changed its functionality. So there's people have started answering. No, it's not the tools. It's what picnic, isn't it? Problem in chair, not in computer. We're just having a picnic today. So yes, so somebody's answered
Somebody's
question
checked out
2.
Christmas already.
And somebody has answered. We've got some answers for question 3. Look at the people are answering question 4, question 5. Look, they've even answered question 6.
Yay.
So we're getting there. So if we've
Yeah.
got a few more people who could just do some quick typing in
that's
there.
happening, I just want to put a call out. One of the things that I said at the end of the PMO conference in Edinburgh, and just talking what Eileen had said about sharing stories. There's been a few people at both conferences this year that have bitten the bullet and stood up there and delivered a conference session. Never done it before, but recognise that, you know, maybe there's an interesting story in what I've got. So we've had a chat, and basically we want to see more of it. We want to see more of that in 2026. And obviously we've got conference coming up in June. I'm working on the agenda right now. So it's either yourself or is anybody else out of your group at work, or any other PMO colleagues that you know that work elsewhere. This is a call out to, you know, if you've got a story that you want to share, please do get in touch.
And the PMO Learn agenda's out there already.
Oh, yes, we've done it super early this year. Again, based on feedback from people and what they'd like to see. So if you've not seen that already, head on to the website under PMO conference. You'll see the PMO Learn agenda. It's going to be a good one this year. Not that it wasn't good before, but it'll be even better.
Okay, right then, we have got the results of the questions now, which hopefully you can see, and it's actually created a word cloud, which is I didn't know it was going to do that either. So interesting. We talked a bit about our one word value. Interest in reporting. Then I think reporting has got much more sophisticated and hopefully kind of more useful to organisations. Interesting as well in terms of the project stage gates. We've had quite a bit of focus this year on the whole governance piece, and the P3G governance I think has been a great addition to that. Greatest personal development. Passing, I'm assuming that's into passing the exam. Great to see it's P3O. I quite like this kind of learning to slow down and thinking before I act. Sometimes we forget that kind of less haste, more speed. And there's a great book about kind of slow thinking, which gives you the time to kind of slow down and think about what's going on.
I think you're going to see that in our trends for 2026, which incidentally is on the events page right now. We'll be kicking off the new year with the trends in PMO, but that word slow does appear.
Things for next year, and it's nice to see that people are at least optimistic starting off at the beginning of the year. So looking for some greater adoption, transformational, growing and opportunistic. So excellent for that. So this is the biggest challenge, and again we'll make sure we've got things that can support you through that. So looking at assurance across the work streams, delivering a project with a truly immovable end date, which is always an exciting, and looking at kind of how we balance and balance off and optimize some of the other elements of a project other than the kind of the time. Some documentation, always a challenge, and I'm really interested to see actually how, and I don't think we've talked about it much yet, and I don't know how much has been done about how AI will transform some of the documentation we hold around projects and around lessons learned, because you know at the end of a project we now have this huge mass and folders of project information. AI has such a great opportunity to be able to kind of get in there and summarize and answer questions, which kind of almost kind of feeds the lessons learned database without doing any more work. So that I think that's quite a really.
Is there a session in SharePoint documentation stuff or not? Is it just a case of that everybody actually knows what they're doing there?
Well, I don't think I'm not sure that's the case. SharePoint can, I often say, I did my first bit of consultancy work over in a pharmaceutical company in Wales, and Agnes, the PMO manager, used to come to the project managers at the beginning of a project with an A4 lever arch file. When the project was finished, she'd come and pick it up, and she would put it in her cupboard, and was always accessible. And I still say Agnes can probably find documentation for a project 12 years ago that actually with all of our kind of modern storage area we'd struggle to do, because it's all kind of stored in different places and archived in different structures. Absolutely. And so in terms of kind of what people want us to do for the next year, keep doing what we're doing. Well, we've got every intention on doing that. community repository of best practice templates. You'll actually see that what we're doing for PMO Learn is based absolutely on best practices, where Lindsay's doing quite a bit of work with our library now to kind of looking at how, from an AI perspective, we can kind of get greater value of that, not just for us, but also for you guys as well. So if there is, we're always available if anybody wants to have a chat with us about kind of how we can help, or you want to go into our LinkedIn group, or we've got a contact page on the website. So lots of ways that you can get in touch. As I said, we're working in the first week in the new year to kind of pull together some more detailed plans for 2026, but we'll continue to add to that as the year continues.
And as I said, we've already got some events already lined up. Just a couple here. That obviously, the first one kicking off on the 9th of January is the top 10 trends for PMO going forward. We've been doing that every year, which is what I've started doing also, is looking back at the previous ones to see where we are and whether they actually came true and materialised. But we've got some cracking ones coming up. But again, based on what we're already seeing, based on what people have been doing in 2025 and where they're going next. So I think you have a really good session there. We're also, you know, for a lot of people, again, based on what people are asking for, PMO competency framework still used a lot. And again, we'll get into the PMO team side of it. So a manager's perspective on how you can utilize that and use it within your organization. What you can also see there is a new event, which is not strictly a PMO event. This one's come about because of PMO conference. And because we put the conference on every year, our exhibitors really love the PMO community. That's why they keep coming back. And one of the things that you know we've been asked to do is, for any of you that have ever heard of Project Challenge, that used to be an event that ran, which was essentially a project management trade show. So this is for everyone in project management. But we brought it back with their backing. Of course, there's going to be a lot of PMO stuff in there, but it is also going to be a place for project managers, program managers, you know, the full works basically. So again, have a look at your diary. This 21st of April is a very important day because it's my birthday, but it's also Project Forum for the first time. And again, we will all be there, and we will be doing some a lot of stuff around PMOs. And then finally, we've got the dates for June this year. So I think that is it for 2025 on the HotHouse. Yes, John, are you happy that we've got to the end of the year and your new slots have been welcomed, and would like to see more of those again next year?
Absolutely, we'll keep the learning and the reading going. I've got plenty of reading. I'm flying out to the US shortly. I've got plenty of reading for the plane as well, so I'll have loads more news for you for next year. I've got some gems here. I've got the Off the Rails, the inside story of HS2 to read. I've got the unaccountability machine, why big systems make terrible decisions. So I shall come back into the new year well read with even more nuggets and insights for you.
Very good. Okay. Any final words from you, Eileen?
No, I'm just curious if anybody's got any other books that they're going to be reading over the new year. I'm going to be knitting.
Expect PMO House of PMO bubble hats then come the beginning of the year. That's all we can say. Okay, well, hopefully everybody has a great time off the holidays. We'll see you back in 2026. Take care for everybody, and yeah, Merry Christmas.
And thanks for all your support.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, see you later. Bye.
Everyone.